Metroidvania. Not something you see on the cover of a game disc all that often, or even at all. So why do people keep saying it?
Metroidvania is a fan term. It describes a game that is within the Castlevania lineage, but borrows elements from Metroid, specifically the map exploration and item progression. Makes sense to me. This is in stark contrast to what is known as Classicvania, where the progression is much more linear and you only have two weapons. More often your whip and the special weapon. Anyway, there are a few things borrowed from RPGs as well. Leveling up in my Castlevania? It's more likely than you think. So I guess we could just start off with the one that everybody knows. That's right. Castlevania 2. Oh, we're going down that road, are we? Well, Castlevania 2 does involve, collecting items, getting better items as the game progresses, and it actually has kind of a storyline-ish type feel going on to it. You do help a bunch of townspeople. I'm kind of iffy on this one as to whether it counts as a Metroidvania. Plus, it's already been done in the past, so... Alright, for real this time, this is the one that everybody knows. It's called Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it helped define both the term and formula for this well-endured branch of Castlevania. Basically, as you progress through the game, you get better items, your character levels up, you can change out magic skills, and there's even a shop.
It's been a long time, old one.
Oh, it's you, Master Alucard. What do you need?
I need your help.
Young Master, I cannot aid one who opposes the Master.
You won't go unrewarded.
Really? In that case, just tell me what you need.
I'm interested in this.
So you can buy better weapons and gear, or you can find them in the castle. There's also a very well-defined plot and great opportunities for character advancement. I just learned they're doing a PS4 remake of this game. Couldn't be happier. Up-resed sprites are always a good thing. Although a 2.5D a la Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles would also be quite welcome by me, but that's a controversial thing.
If you live that long.
Get used to this formula though, guys, because they use it quite a bit going forward. And by quite a bit, I basically mean copy and paste, but, change one or two things. So onward we go. 2001's Castlevania Circle of the Moon is notable for having a vampire hunter again that levels up, as well as having the whip and the whip twirls, though not quite as involved as Castlevania 4's. You hold down a button instead of pressing the D-pad telling the whip where to go. But anyway, you can also modify the whip with elemental powers such as fire, water, electricity, and such. Features more RPG elements such as leveling up gear and character stats. They took out the spirits though. Castlevania Symphony of the Night had spirits and companions that would follow you around, whereas Circle of the Moon does not. Just about the same difficulty between the two games. We also can't forget about the dual setup system, which is a basic ability and card system that can be matched up for unique attacks and abilities throughout the game. Unique only to this game. No other Castlevania did it. So, there you go. 2002 saw Harmony of Dissonance come out for the Game Boy Advance. Yet again, side-scroller action with RPG elements. They did a few unique things here, though. For one, well, I would say unique, but for one, we have a Belmont in here, which makes it automatically awesome. This Belmont's name is Juste, I guess, because it's spelled with an E. But we have this unique book combination thing going on here with the sub-weapons. You can pick up a sub-weapon and then combine it with a spell book to create different magical attacks. It was, I mean, to me, that's the best version of the two between the Game Boy Advance games. But also, you know, it takes cues from the other two games before it. You have to gain better abilities to unlock different areas of the castle, and you can fall down pits and be fine because you're supposed to explore the entire 2D castle. Anyway, so the art style in this game is pretty good. I'd call it on par or a little better than Circle of the Moon. But if you ask me, the soundtrack got unfairly slammed. Like, they got some groovy tunes in this game. Ones that I can find myself listening to while not playing the video game. If you can believe that. And now we march on to 2003 with Castlevania Area of Sorrow. This one, it's a solid entry. You know, has great, by now often repeated, gameplay elements, such as action, platform adventures, and with some role-playing elements. It has a pretty unique tactical soul system, where enemies can drop souls, where you can equip them and use different abilities based on the souls that are equipped with the sub-weapons. So, it works pretty awesome. You know, music and soundtrack is awesome, better visuals than the previous entry. This one, though, the direction. For one, it takes place in 2035. Yes, you heard that right. This game, the game you're looking at right now, takes place in the year 2035. Where is my neon? Shouldn't Soma be wearing, like, some type of crazy cyberpunk outfit? It's 2035, and we're still doing this Renaissance thing. What's up with that? Also, this game gets a little more Japanese than really I'm comfortable with.
It's not like I think you're ugly, Soma-kun. Do you want me to go vampire hunting with you sometime?
2005 saw the release of Dawn of Sorrow for the Nintendo DS. A new system. Generally, it's a good platformer with RPG elements, like I'm sure you've heard so many times before. The Tactical Soul system makes a resurgence. They added some new things like the Doppelganger Soul, but anyway, it still features the same gameplay elements. You gotta get better items to unlock sections of the castle, so on and so forth. Get those numbers up so you can more easily defeat the bosses later in the game. But because the DS had a touchscreen, and it's a Nintendo product, I'm sure, we have to have this new touchscreen gimmick called the Magic Seal. Whenever you get a boss down to 0, a circle appears on the touchpad, and you have to draw the pattern that the game gave you. Otherwise, the boss respawns, and you have to fight him again. This makes playing it on an emulator kind of tough. It's doable, but again, kind of tough. So, but if you have, you know, a 3DS or a DS, it should not be a problem at all. 2006's Portrait of Ruin is up next, and as you can imagine, it is a side-scrolling game with RPG elements. So, what do we get here? Well, for one, we get live switching characters. That's right, you can switch between two characters at the press of a button. You can switch between your boy Johnny Morris and Charlotte. Outside of that, you level stuff up and level your characters. It's good. You can also tell that they were starting to get tired of the Renaissance-only thing by about this time. There are some levels that take place like in an Egyptian setting, and also the game takes place in 1944. That's right, just after World War II. This was happening just after World War II, or maybe during the late part of it. Once again, visuals are really good for a portable game, and the soundtrack actually knocks it out of the park this time, one of my more favorite soundtracks on the Nintendo DS. Plus, we can't forget about that co-op mode over Wi-Fi that I'm sure was definitely played at least one time. And here we go, it's another one. 2008's Order of Ecclesia, another side-scrolling Castlevania with RPG elements. Huge, right? Well, they did a few key gameplay changes for this, mainly revolving around level design. Instead of having a giant castle to go through, you instead have several smaller areas within a region on a map. This does wonders to break up the stage design, as well as, I guess, not making the game feel as huge, which has always been kind of a thing for me ever since Symphony of the Night. How can you forget to even mention Shinoa? I thought the magnetism gameplay mechanic was a suitable replacement for the whip swinging that was primarily in Castlevania 4, as well as them using it actually in a pretty awesome manner during boss fights. I got a big kick out of that. But again, you level up your character through buying stuff.
Hey,
it's a simplified questing system where you go out and you find these raw materials, and that's how you upgrade your armor and your weapons. All in all, a solid entry in the Castlevania lineup. The soundtrack and visuals here are solid as well. Now, oddly enough, this next series of events has no video game attached to it. But here we go. It was 1999 that Julius Belmont defeated Dracula for the final time. Dracula's soul vanishes and is later reincarnated, though it's not specified when, into Commander Lucius. Dracula's soul then influences Commander Lucius to create this new project called Progressive Restoration. And this project leads to an underground base that this fellow named Jason and his girlfriend Claire decides to go into after doing some cave exploration. And this leads us to Shadow Complex. That's right, 2009's Shadow Complex by Epic Games. A solid entry in the Metroidvania library. It is the first full 3D original title. Castlevania Dracula X gets mentioned here, but it follows the classic Vania formula, whereas the Metroidvania formula has you finding better items and upgrading your character. This is also the first Metroidvania to involve, well, shooting a modern gun anyway. Spoilers! And it's also the first Metroidvania to involve such shadowy figures as the government and the NSA. We skip way ahead to 2018 to a game that takes place just after or maybe even during Order of Ecclesia, Castlevania. This has you going through Dracula's Gildian kingdom, which is a little different each time you go through it. It's really weird. He kind of perfected this new technology to where he can change the levels. He can build the castle as you're going through it. Plus, the castle takes place, you know, as different scenes, much like Order of Ecclesia, only it's a castle, it's not a town. So, you get your jungle scenes, you get your temple scenes, you know, you get your bosses, and it's still a side-scroller that has you leveling up items and characters, so. Soundtrack's kind of weird on this one. The visuals are top-notch, though, and it runs on modern systems, so there's that. But hold on to your butts, ladies and gentlemen, because Dracula's Wrath is not only earthbound. Onward we go, to space! That's right, many people do not know that the Metroids and the Castlevanias are part of the same canon universe. So after Soma destroys the manifestation of chaos in Area of Sorrow, the Chaos Realm opens up a new portal into space and sends spores through it. This spore happened to contain the DNA that could allow a life form to grow that would function the best within said planet's environment. So, this form happens to be a brain in a glass tube. It's weird, I know, but just roll with me on this. This brain in a glass tube was seen as a threat among people on Earth and from all the other galaxies. So, they sent this new vampire hunter, Samus, out there time and time again to try to knock what would eventually be known as the Mother Brain down. And again, it's a side-scroller that has RPG elements. It's weird how that works out, right?